is passionate about eating disorder advocacy and peer support in our communities on Vancouver Island and in the province of BC. We are entirely volunteer run. We do not receive any government funding or support. We rely on generous donations from our friends and families. The rest comes out of our own pockets. Our work includes peer support groups, community healing projects, education on social media, speaking at educational workshops, engagement at community events, working with the media to ensure ethical reporting of eating disorders, and advocacy through writing blog posts, op-ed articles, petitions, letter writing campaigns, and collaborating with politicians, health authorities, service providers, and provincial ministries where possible. VIVED hosted a virtual town hall community meeting on September 29th of 2002 to talk about eating disorder services for adults on Vancouver Island, tertiary services in the province of BC, and the many barriers that people face trying to access meaningful, evidence-informed treatment options that meet the unique and complex needs of this diverse population. The first of its kind in this community, this event was designed and led by persons with lived and living experience to create opportunities and inspiration for improved eating disorder care. The event featured panelists who shared their personal journeys trying to access treatment, as well as Johnny Morris, the CEO of CMHA BC, Jane Nicole Little, a mental health therapist in Victoria, and Adam Olson, MLA of Saanich North and the Gulf Islands. The 2002 virtual town hall focused on two priorities. First, creating opportunities and inspiration for improved eating disorder care on Vancouver Island. Second, expanding understanding of adults with eating disorders and the barriers they face in accessing meaningful treatment. Options that meet the unique needs of people of diverse ages, identities, abilities, eating disorder presentations, genders, comorbid mental illness, or dual diagnosis, and socioeconomic status. From this event, we were able to develop a policy brief based on the conversations and feedback. Our policy brief focused on the current state of eating disorder services for adults on Vancouver Island, as well as relevant tertiary services for adults in BC and the Yukon. It also included a future vision for services with specific recommendations and the next steps. Our policy brief was delivered to the Ministry of Mental Health and Addictions alongside Johnny Morris, the CEO of CMHA BC. In early 2023, with support from the CEO of CMHA BC, Johnny Morris, VIVED began meeting with representatives from the Ministry of Mental Health and Addictions, the Ministry of Health, to review our policy brief and begin a conversation about change. It was an exciting step for us. Island Health and the Ministry of Child and Family Development were also invited into these conversations and attended several meetings, but have since declined attending. There is no longer anyone left to meet with, as those we had working relationships with have all moved into different positions. Our organization has also participated in other activities throughout the last year. We've continued to offer weekly peer support, a group that has been running since 2015. We offered a pilot project for a peer study group that ran for 12 weeks and focused on RODBT skills. This group will continue in future with other topics. We participated as a member of the National Eating Disorders Awareness Week campaign alongside other eating disorder organizations across Canada in 2023 and again this year. Continued to raise awareness and advocate for eating disorders via social media and collaborated on other advocacy awareness issues with other mental health organizations. With our second virtual town hall held on the first day of National Eating Disorders Awareness Week on February 1st, this past week, with other community efforts we've held during this week and with this rally, our goal is to continue the conversation from 2022, as well as the work we continue to do to improve eating disorder services in our community and relevant tertiary services in British Columbia. This Eating Disorders Awareness Week, we wanted to focus on being with our community and creating spaces for healing rather than simply expending energy we do not have, waiting for change we have no way of counting on being delivered. I want to preface this event with the acknowledgement at the outset that we are here to honor authentic feelings, and we will be doing so. Raw grief, anger, passion, and love for this community can be uncomfortable to sit with, but we are holding ourselves and you, namely the people in this building, capable of bearing witness and engaging with uncomfortable conversations, because this is how progress is made. None of us will be sharing specific details that could be activating to others or speaking in a hateful manner towards any individuals. However, we are going to be authentic to our experiences and feelings as they exist in this moment. We have learned that we cannot change whether people choose to do something with that or not, but we can honor our voices in their raw form without expending emotional energy we do not have into making ourselves as palatable as possible. The rest is up to you or up to them. Before we move forward in this event, I cannot stand on these steps or on this territory, this unceded territory, without also recognizing the weekly rallies that are held here by our local Palestinian and Indigenous communities. Today is day 124 of the ongoing genocide in Gaza, 124 days, over 26,000 martyrs, including over 10,000 children, more than 69,000 maimed, injured, and mutilated, and at least 1.6 million displaced. While this issue may seem very separate from Eating Disorders Awareness Week, viewing things this way as distinct issues when many of them tie back into Western colonialism and its impacts is a Western view of looking at things. So as our own social justice movement calls us to recognize the others that are around us, we ask and have to stand here and recognize that these are important calls to action that we should all share. We truly cannot embody a meaningful EDA without addressing the lack of accessible and safe support options for marginalized groups, without acknowledging colonialism, racism, ableism, saneism, poverty and food insecurity, trauma, neurodivergence, and the necropolitics at play in many of BC's policy failures. Without these critical calls for change, all we are doing is continuing to live in a landscape where so many people are left with such limited, compassionate, accessible, and personally meaningful options. With that said, let us turn to the event today and begin sharing. Some of our VIVED members will speak, as well as honored guests, and we welcome others from our community to come up and speak as well if they feel called to. Now I will turn back to Chelsea, who has a few other things.